evening. Welcome to one more Krishna International Magazine show. My name is Krishna Offer Varela. Tonight's show will be the power of dedication, and I have a pleasure to have here as my guest a motivational speaker, a man who is representing the Ethiopian community, Mr. Sileshi Gared B. How are you, my dear?
I'm fine. Nice
Thank you
meeting
so
you.
much for being my show.
It's a pleasure, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. From Ethiopia, directing to America, and now on Krishna International Magazine show, Miss Sileshi, please share with us your background history.
Well, as you have mentioned, I'm from Ethiopia, and Ethiopia is a land and the origin of the ancient civilization. Ethiopia is the origin of human being, where a 3.5 years old fossil by the name Lucy was found in Ethiopia. Ethiopia is the origin of the daily stimulant group we usually use in our day-to-day activity, the coffee. That comes from the coffee area in Ethiopia called Kaffa. And Ethiopia is also one of the ancient Aksumite civilization next to the Roman, the Byzantine, and the Chinese. One of the very strong Aksumite dynasty is also in Ethiopia. And this time, Ethiopia is the center of African political and economic center. And as a lot of writers have said, Ethiopia is the capital city of Africa.
Yes, beautiful.
Thank you.
And what brought you from America?
Well, I arrived here at the United States like 15 years ago, but I was serving my country as a journalist, like 6 years as a radio journalist, and then 2 years as a TV reporter, and then all of a sudden I arrived here like 15 years ago anyways.
That is great. You have that same skills.
Yes.
Why you didn't continue here in America your profession?
Yeah, actually, the first time when I arrived here in Boston, there is a community radio here in Cambridge by Ethiopian community. His executive director, Mr. Biniam Chamana, invited me to work with him, and I served like for 2 years as a volunteer for my Ethiopian community members here. And then right after I moved to Denver, Colorado. Actually, there was my friend who used to live there, and he kept calling me there. You need to come here and have your own radio show. You need to come here and have a TV show. We need someone in our language so that we can have a diversified kind of negotiation where we can explain a lot of things about. So I moved to Denver, Colorado, and have my own radio show by the name Radio Abyssinia.
Okay.
And then serving there for like 6 years. But the fact that there was an immigration issue here in Boston, Massachusetts, I have to move back to Denver. I have to move back to Boston.
Yes.
And stayed here.
And stayed here. But here, I know that you're still trying to go on that field, from the radio to the TV. Now you are more on the writing field.
Yes.
I know that you already have 2 books released, and you have a third one upcoming to be published in this 2018.
Yes.
And your book number 1, there is a lot to do with your lifestyle in America. Do you want to talk about that and what inspired you on the book number 2?
The first book actually is with 3 different journalists living in Ethiopia. We compiled the short stories and then published the book by the Dollar Tarasu. That's Paul Dollar Tarasu. And the reason that I write about my experience here in the United States and an African immigrant, it was like the book, my fiction, the Dollar Tarasu, was written like 15 years ago when I used to work with the Ethiopian community radio.
Okay.
That's my first experience as just someone is coming and arriving with quite different tradition and culture so that why can't I write this one and just share with my people?
Yes.
That's why the book was just published like 10 years ago, and then after 5 years, I go back to Ethiopia and publish another one, which is a collection of short stories is my own.
That is amazing. That is great. Special for this feeling of sharing, because it's all about sharing. That nothing that we learn belong to us. Our mission on this world is really to share. And Mr. Gared find his way to share his book and his feelings and his life experience through the book. Yes, Miss Gared. So, and this book number 3 that is about to come. What is more left to say? What do you feel that is going to be on this third one?
I have just completed writing the one. The next step is that just maybe I have to go to Ethiopia and publish the thing. But this third one is quite different from the second one. This one is from my reading experience. I found a lot of very, very fascinating histories that forced me to translate them into my own Ethiopian language so that the Ethiopian readers can enjoy the products of the American writers. So it seems like a translation of best short stories written by different Americans, and then I have to translate them into Ethiopian language, actually in Amharic and Tigrinya, so that the Ethiopian readers can just
understand
and read this American writers' idea and their short stories.
Wow, that is great. So you're trying to facilitate the communication, the understanding between both of the countries.
True, that's right.
This is amazing.
Thank you.
So how long it takes you to write a book, for example? In
The
this
first-
American lifestyle, how do you find the time actually to write a book?
Yeah, actually, I work 7 days.
Wow.
The first one, the Dollar Trasu short story, was when I was here like for a year, and after that, I had enough time that time. So that was easy for me to write. Just, I brought the idea, this is the point that I have to say, so I can write this one very short time. That's why I did it very quick to write it and to send it back home. But the second one is, first I have to read how the short stories back home are reaching. So I have to edit myself, I have to write myself, and I have to see and make a critic on my products by myself. It takes me time, and hand in hand there is a livelihood condition here that the bills are always waiting, so I need to work hard too. Therefore, the second book is kind of taking long time because I was spending my time working like 7 days. There was not enough time to read, and there was not enough time to write anyways.
Okay, and what language do you write in, and what language do you think in?
Well, the first one was, my language to think was the Ethiopian language, and I wrote it in Ethiopian language. So it was true for the second one too, actually. But in the third one, because I'm here, I'm just becoming familiar with the American tradition, with the American system, and with the American experience. I'm trying to explain that one to the audience, that the American writers are expressing their condition, their life condition in this way, so that others over there can read, understand, and actually get a lesson from. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, so this is beautiful. Mr. Sileshi, we're about to take a break, but before we take a break, I would love to ask you, are you consider yourself a writer?
Well, I have to be honest, I'm not considering myself as a writer. I would rather say I am a good reader, because while working, I'm reading like around 7,000 to 10,000 books, which may be okay, may not be enough. But I consider myself as a good reader instead of writer.
Wow, this is so beautiful, beautiful
you.
message. He considers himself a good reader rather than say that he's a writer. We're going to take a small break so you can see some image and music about Ethiopia, and we'll be right back. You are watching Krishna International Magazine Show.
Thank you. You got a king?
Go fish! In your face! In your face!
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
My new mom and I have a lot in common.
The great outside.
We both love the outdoors.
So shiny.
That's not a flower. We both love geology.
Oh, look. An igneous one.
That's not a rock. And she knows a lot about wildlife.
A labradoodle.
That's not a dog. Hanging out has been kind of fun.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
In the east of Africa, colors and friendship, you bet you will find that it's good hospitality and the peace of mind. Ethiopia, pretty girls, some boys, every day you can meet. The colors are fair brown, black and bright. In the east of Africa, and not Ethiopia.
Hello everyone, good evening. You are watching Krishna International Magazine Show. My name is Krishna Offer Varela. Tonight is the power of dedication, and I have a pleasure to have as my guest Mr. Sileshi Gared B, the Ethiopian community, here representing and the motivational speaker. Ms. Gared, beautiful photos, beautiful image, and great song. So where was that one? Was in your inauguration of the book, right?
Thank you, Krishna. Those pictures were some photos of my second book inauguration in Ethiopia. By the way, the music Ethiopia by the well-known Ethiopian singer Sileshi Gared was very, very good and very nice. Actually, it was my intro music when I was running the radio Abyssinia when I was in Denver, Colorado. Yeah.
That is amazing. Thank you so much for giving me that pleasure to use that same music here for our
Thank you
intro.
so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So how do you see today, like the way that the technology has been so fast? How do you see the future of the book with the technology of 21st century?
Well, technology has brought a lot of benefits. When you just taking a bus, when you're taking a train, you see a lot of people are reading through the audio, then they can read from their cell phones. That technology is just making easy the accessibility to get a book.
Yes.
This is the positive side, actually. Well, there is also a negative side that coming after the technology, that we might not use it properly when we use it in the wrong way. So it's okay, hand in hand with the technology progress, we people are also trying to catch up so that everything will be easier for the people in which we try to address. I believe technology is helping and making everything easier for access.
Yeah, you're right. And it's